So we have a public beta of version 3.02. Lots of cool stuff in here. One of the main things is that they added per preset and global performance pages. So that is on both really the hardware and edit. You need to use both to use this feature. So that is this perform tab here. And you have global and per preset controls, which is really nice. So it automatically loads some global amp controls, and I believe these are the controls we had on the AX8. If you remember the AX8 hardware, it had physical knobs that you couldn't change what it could do, and it was amp drive, bass, mid, treble, sort of your basic sort of things. Now that's here in this perform page by default on this FM3 unit, but you can change it to anything you want. So global controls stay the same when you change presets. Pretty much any parameter that you can see down here, there are some exceptions that don't make sense. Anything you want per preset. So let's say your preset has a tremolo block, in this preset, but another one you use doesn't. It would kind of be a waste to have a tremolo, rate control on that screen the whole time when you don't ever have a trem block except in one preset. So that's why you can do per preset and change to that screen during the gig and adjust what you need in that preset. So you can also put the same thing. You can also put, amp level there if you just want it on the same page and really quick to get to. But you can do things per preset or globally, like a lot of situations on the FM3. In order to set something up, we're going to do a per preset. Now, if you don't have anything selected right now on the bottom, there's no block selected. You can't grab any controls. So let's do something in the amp block. So let's highlight the amp block by clicking it here in edit. And then we're going to go to the perform page. And if you have an FX3, they've had this for a while now on that unit. So this isn't too new. I think it's the same feature set, but to the FM3 user, this is new. So you click the perform page here, and this is where you load the perform pages. You can't do it from the hardware, unfortunately. I think there's just too many parameters to see. So on here, what you would do is there are 5 spaces here on this one and 5 here. So this is the per preset performance page, and there's 10 total, 2 rows of 5. What you do is you grab the name of the parameter. I'm going to say that again. Click and drag the name of the parameter into the grid like this. I'm input drive. I'm going to click and drag on the word input drive and drop it to whatever slot I want, and there it is. Do not grab the knob. If you grab the knob, you're going to change the knob setting, and that's not a big deal. What you want to do is move the control over, right? So you're going to click the name. So we'll do drive, and let's do level. So I'm going to grab the level control over here by grabbing the name, click and drag, right? So now that's over there too. Now real quick, since we're doing per preset things, when you're done with this, you have to save. So make sure you didn't do a bunch of edits to your blocks and things, and then you do this. Like, make sure you save your work, go to another preset, come back maybe, and then it's settled. Then start adjusting this, just so you don't accidentally change some settings you don't want to. All right, so we've loaded some amp things, and this is all I want from the amp block. Let's say I want to grab something from, I don't know, the delay block or anything. What I've seen a lot of people do is they uncheck perform, go to the delay block, and then check perform again, and so they can get to these parameters. You don't need to do that. You can certainly do that if it makes more sense to you, if it's logical, and it takes a little more time than what I'm about to show you, but you don't have to do that. This is on the FX3 as well. They added this new preset block menu here, this little arrow. If you click this, unfortunately, the list is going off screen on this stream. I'm sorry about that, but there's a list that pops out that lists every block in your preset. So from this list, I can choose the amp block, and there it is. I've switched to the amp, but I can choose my drive block here. I can choose the cab block, anything like this. So look for this little arrow there, so you don't need to leave perform and click a block. Let's go to delay 1, and let's just change, let's add the mix. So again, we're grabbing the name of the knob, not the knob itself, because that'll change the parameter. You grab the name, and drag it up. So let's put delay mix there. I believe you can also go to setup and grab certain things. So now that we're in setup, maybe I can grab the tuner calibration and boom, it should work. Yep. And as you might be able to see, I know it's a little small on stream, but it says global calibration. You can edit the name of any of these. All you do is double click and then start typing. So tuner calibration. There, now I know what that is. Oh yeah, this might be a good one. USB playback. I'm not using USB audio here, but you can drag that playback. And now you have a quick knob on the unit itself to adjust the USB volume without going into the menu. That's really, really cool. So before we leave edit, these are just copies or instances, if you will, of the same parameters that we've grabbed from all the blocks, right? The amp block input drive here is the same exact input drive here. If I grab it and turn it, watch both of these, right? I'm going to grab this one and turn it down, and it updates. The FM3 is a little bit slower than the FX3, of course, different processor, so just kind of got to wait. So turning this or this is the same thing. We're going to go over to hardware, and I'll show you where this is. So now on hardware, I'm going to press the page right button once, and there it is. And here's what we see. It's the exact same thing that we had on edit. We have these knobs under here, and they correspond to whatever row is selected. So remember, there's 2 rows of 5. And on this top row, I have 3 things. On this bottom row, I happen to have 2 right now. So if I turn A, it's the first one. B is the second one. C, nothing's there. D, nothing's there. E, it's that one. So you have quick access to these parameters. To change rows, you do have to press down or up on the navigation arrows to change rows. So just be aware of that. Bottom row now, if I press up, I go to the top row. So whichever one is highlighted brighter, that's the one you're adjusting at that time. I'm going to go to a slightly gainier sound. So as you can see, I just changed scenes there. Maybe you didn't see that part, but I changed scenes and the knobs updated to the current amp channel. So let's adjust the input drive from this perform page right on the front panel. Okay, there. Just like we'd expect, the drive turns down when I turn it down. Then, oh, on this part of the song, I need a little bit more. All right, and same thing with level. Let's turn this back. The number above also changes, which is nice, of course. So I can adjust the amp level right here. If you listen carefully, you should hear a faint delay. Right, it's there. I want it really in the back. That's what I want, but let's say I want it a little louder. I can just turn the mix up right here. But let me put it back to where it was, and now it's back in the background. But if I want to bend down to the pedal at the gig, just like you would an analog pedal or something, I think it's really great to have it on the FM3. So I made a bunch of changes here, right? And let's say I'm at the gig, and I just wanted to change it for that moment and didn't want to like store that for the next time I come back. Just if I change presets and come back, it'll load as it's saved. It won't load, it won't save what I just did unless I press save. So if I did make some changes, say to my level on this amp channel, and I want it to save, you do have to do your classic store enter at some point to make sure that it saves for the next time. So a bit of an option there, not really, but if you want to make a quick change using your perform screen and not save it, just don't save. Even if you go all gig long on the same preset, just don't save ever, and then leave the preset, come back, and it'll discard those changes. Or if you do want to save, make sure you hit store, enter on the unit like we normally do. Okay, so that's the per preset perform page. So remember, we started at this home page with the scenes. If we page right once, we get to our per preset controls here, our perform page. If we page right one more time, now we have our global perform page. And again, this one, by default, when you load this firmware, these are the default global parameters. They happen to be amp things that we saw on the AX8. You can change these the same exact way we did it for the per preset. You just change it out to whatever you want. And again, global will be there for every preset you change to. It'll show the same thing. And per preset, this will change per preset. You can see here we have tuner, layout, controllers, now amp and cab. So these are sort of quick jumps. If we turn the knobs, it'll adjust whatever's there. If we press the knob like a button, it'll jump to the amp block or jump to the cab block here. So amp and cab are quickly accessible by pressing these buttons, and you can quickly adjust those. Let's say you want your global perform page here to be an adjustment set of parameters. So something you usually adjust during a gig. So you can put, one that I love to put, let me jump over here. Something I think is very important is in the cab block, filters here, your cab low cut, I'm going to put that on global, and your cab high cut. I think this is a majorly important thing that should be here. So if we're creating our globals to be sort of always be able to adjust my sound setup here, I think these are very, very important. So once we've set that up, if we go back to this view real quick, now we have cab low and high cut, and I would probably put them on the same row so I don't have to press up and down like I'm having to now. I was just trying to show this quickly. Yeah, you can either nav and use the value wheel, or you can use the knobs underneath. But you can see my low cut's pretty high, but let's say I get to the gig and there's not enough low end. I can quickly, and this is where I choose to control my low end for my presets. If that's too much, I can adjust it right here without jumping into the cab block. So. All the way down. Or if I get to the gig, oh, there's way too much low end, I can just quickly grab this knob that's ready to go and take it out. Same thing with the high cut. Again, I'd probably put them on the same row so you don't have to go back and forth between rows, but let's do the high cut. And just a reminder, I'm not doing like tone demos. I'm quickly going through parameters, so this isn't the best sound ever. I'm not the best guitarist. These are just examples of what you can do, and I'm not really caring what it sounds like, just so you can hear the changes. So just a reminder there. But I get to the gig, and this gig has like a boomy room, and I want to just adjust it in the cab block, you know, for whatever reason, or it's the first time bringing a preset and I want to adjust it for the gig. I can quickly jump between these cab block, low cut, high cut. If I put it on this global, I can adjust all the amp things, and it changes when I change channels and yada yada. So perform pages are really, really nice. To delete things, I believe you click it and press delete on your keyboard. Yep. That's how you get rid of it. But you can copy and paste things if you need to move things around. You can click and drag to swap things as well. But let's do cab low cut here and cab high cut here. So there, that would make more sense as I adjust it. I can just grab the two D and E knobs real quick and go between them to adjust low and high cut. I guess for me, for the amp, I would put input trim here because I like that one. And I would definitely put level. It really opens up a world of possibilities, again, because this is more of a pedal format unit itself, the FM3. It's right in front of you, and you can grab either your per preset or your global parameters here and just adjust them really quickly. But when you change presets, it'll stay on this screen. So as you change presets, your per preset will change. If you're on global, it'll stay the same because that's what global does. But I think that's a major, major addition to the FM3. There is now a Footswitch tuner mode as well, and it's an option. I'll show you where it is, I guess, first. We're going to hit setup. We're going to get to FC control. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to page. Well, I'm already there, but you would have paged all the way, almost all the way right. And Footswitch tuner mode, you can enable or disable. It's enabled right now. So if we go back into the tuner, I'm just going to hit the A switch. Watch here. So nothing changes here, but watch these lights here. I'm going to detune my E string. As I went flat, this side shows I'm flat and lights up. And any screen glitching you see here is just the camera and you streaming, like the rate that's happening here, the frame rate and everything. So that's not actually appearing here for me. But as I'm flat, it goes off center to the left and shows you you're flat. Then you tune up. I'm going to go sharp. Now you see I'm sharp, I'm over. So we have many things telling us we're off. We have this one, and now if you want, you can enable or disable this mode here. I do like it. It makes more lights flash, which I enjoy on stage. And just a heads up, it only affects the FM3 switches here. I do have an FC12 plugged in. The main screen of the FC12 is the tuner mode there, but none of the other mini LCD switches and things like that are changing to this. So it's just the 3 switches on here, just a heads up. Okay, here's another one that's great. Second press equals previous scene on the scene select function. A lot of people have been asking for this for a while. I believe the MFC 101 had this available, but I think it was for presets. I think it was the back command to jump between presets. On the FM3 and FX3, it's recommended to use scenes to change sounds like during a song for like quick changes, things like that. So we have scene 1, scene 2, and scene 3. We can see here that second press equals previous scene can turn on or off. Right now it's off. So let's say, and I'm going to use these switches. I'll zoom in to this view in just a sec, but we're going to stare at edit for a little bit. If I press switch 1, it's scene 1, and for me that happens to be this. Sort of a chorusy sound. If we press 2, we're in scene 2. And if we press switch 3, it's my sort of Vox breakup. We don't have any hold function here, and these are all set to select, not toggle or anything like that. So this right now, this switch is only scene 1. If I press scene 1, it changes, of course. And if I press it again, nothing happens. Nothing changed. However, per switch, you can choose to use the second press equals previous scene. So I'm going to turn it on for this switch only, this first switch, okay? So we're on scene 1. I'm going to change to scene 3, just since it's a major tone change, okay? So we've changed to that Vox sound. I'm going to tap this again. So now we're in scene 1, and now I'm going to tap it one more time. So right from here, this one switch, without any toggle or whatever, I am changing between scene 1 and scene 3 because the previous scene, in addition to scene 1, is changing back and forth. So this brings up some really cool capabilities. And this also works, if you have a bigger pedal board, like the FC12 or something. There's so many switches, you don't want to move your foot all over the place all the time just to change between 2 things. Now, before this was a feature, I personally would just put a scene toggle between, say, 1 and 2 on this switch. But this allows you to be a little bit more dynamic. So let's say the song's about to start, and generally speaking, you're going to change between clean and dirty the entire song and nothing else. So what I would do before the song is while I'm on clean, I would just quickly switch to dirty, not play, just switch to that scene, and then back here. Now when I press this switch, it'll do what it's been doing for a little bit now, and just go between clean and dirty. And that's the same switch. There's no toggle function. It's just the new second press is previous scene. Now let's say the next song, I know it's a clean tone and I'm not going to change the distortion at all. So what I would do before the song, or you can do it during the song, of course, but I think it makes sense to do it before to kind of set this up for yourself, is I'd switch to scene 2, which is my clean, louder lead, and then back to scene 1 without playing. And now the last scene, the previous scene that was loaded to this, was my clean. So even if I just press it, it goes between 1 and 2 now. Now, of course, if I were to click scene 3 at any point, and then go back here, now this would change between clean and dirty. Right? So something to be aware of. It's a cool feature that's additional now. I think there are plenty of uses for this. Now, I've only set one switch with it on, this new previous scene function. You can put it on multiple ones, but you just got to make sure you're ready to press that switch again to get the previous scenes. And the cool thing is that your foot sort of stays here. That's the big deal that I can't show because of the stream setup, but my foot would stay here while I play, and then without having to jump back and forth, in a quick way I can choose which two to toggle with using this sort of feature. So I really like this.